In previous episodes, we discussed trade and exchange and how businesses are formed. In these next 2 episodes, we'll look at the interaction between local business and the global economy. We'll also look at how a seemingly ordinary thing, like a shot of espresso, is the result of human ingenuity and astonishing layers of global complexity and exchange.
I'm Sean, building 3 Coffee. I was active duty for about 12 years. I got to teach some great guys how to essentially jump out of planes from super high altitudes. Loved my time in the service, but my wife and I decided that being away was tough and decided to do something different. So my wife actually worked for Starbucks, so it's kind of how I got into coffee in the beginning. Is that all? No, Thank you. And then, deployments, drinking more coffee to stay awake and stuff like that. And so that's kind of where the adventure started for us. It's definitely, I think, more life-giving now, doing this, getting to affect the lives that we get to affect through this business and the interactions we get to have here. You know what I mean? All this just life-giving stuff happens because of coffee. And that's what I love about coffee.
Coffee was first discovered in Ethiopia, where the story goes that a shepherd found his goats energized after eating coffee cherries. Coffee began to spread through North Africa and Arabia, and for many years, all the coffee was roasted and shipped out of a port in Yemen called Mocha. In the 16th century, it is said that a man named Baba Budan smuggled out some live plants and brought them to India, and from there, coffee spread across the globe. Coffee is now grown in over 50 countries and consumed all over the world. Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia are the largest producers, while the biggest consumers of coffee are Finland and Norway.
It's a good one. You can drink it.
Coffee is actually quite simple, I feel like. Really, you're just taking coffee beans, cooking them, crushing them up, soaking them in water, and then drinking it. But quickly, as you start exploring coffee, it gets quite complex, I think I've got 6 different ways to prepare coffee just here in this shop. I feel like every culture has their own way of preparing coffee. Talking about espresso, the classic Italian beverage, right? Espresso essentially is finely ground coffee brewed under pressure in about 30 seconds into about a 2-ounce shot of liquid. But really, to get that shot to taste good, there's just so much involved. Good equipment, good grinders, good espresso machine, and it really starts with great coffee.
My name is Admire Chamisa. I'm the farm assistant manager and farm agronomist for Utengule Coffee Estate. I was born and bred in Zimbabwe because I come from Zimbabwe, a British colony, where we drink more tea. I knew very little about coffee, to the extent that I thought coffee is the same as tea. It's the leaves which matter, not knowing it's the cherries that give the coffee.
The fruit is called a cherry, yes. Like a cherry we have home. The difference in a cherry is that you discard the stone and you eat the flesh. In coffee, you discard the flesh and you use the bean. My name is Thomas. I grew up in Switzerland on a small farm. I'm a farmer by profession. I have a master's in farming. And then I did real hands-on farming as a farm manager for 10 years and then another 4 or 5 years in Uganda. I am married locally here with a lady from the neighboring village called Sena. I have 3 kids. I came here at Christmas time, 1990, so it's 27 and a half years. A little bit more than half my life. Ending up in a cup of coffee is a long story. It starts actually with a plant you have to establish. These are coffee seeds that will have to be planted into a seed bed. It takes about 8 to 9 months until the tree is ready to go out into the field.
It all starts in the nursery. To me, a nursery is more or less like a kindergarten. If you look at the lifespan of a single plant, it can stretch up to 40, 50 years. Then you need to build a very solid foundation.
It takes in the field about 2 to 3 years to get the first crop. 4 to 5 years to get the full crop.
Good quality coffee comes out of ripe cherries. It's the degree of ripeness which is very, very important. If you look at this one, to me, that's a properly ripe coffee. Like from the color, it's not deep red, that's properly ripe coffee. Yeah.
Our process we do here in East Africa is called the wet processing. That means we remove the flesh and we use the inside. This is called pulping.
Then there is the transportation of pulped coffee to the fermentation tanks.
It goes into a tank for 2 to 3 days, and then you can wash and you dry then the coffee on a tray. And you end up with an intermediate product called dry parchment coffee. We remove basically the outer skin called the parchment skin, which is called hulling, and you end up with green coffee, which is then going into the international market or into the local market for local roasting. My favorite part of the coffee is actually extracting an espresso on a proper espresso machine.
I feel like a hero whenever I'm ordering an espresso or a cup of coffee. After all the hard work that I would have invested during the course of the day. I love coffee. I don't like coffee. I love coffee.
Being a roaster, we get to reach into some of the lives of the people that grow the coffee. And that's where I really started learning about the supply chain and how complicated it gets. Actually, one of our Guatemalan importer, Onyx, they had a hard time finding burlap one year to get the coffee into so that it could get shipped to the United States. The burlap has its own very complex system just to get made and then delivered so that it can get the coffee product put into that. Well, I mean, once it's bagged, it's kind of just starting its journey, really.
When the green unroasted beans are ready for shipping, they're put into burlap bags weighing about 60 kilos and loaded onto containers. The containers are transported by trucks to port, where they're loaded onto ships that take the beans to Europe, North America, and Asia. Generally, coffee travels in 20 or 40-foot steel shipping containers. A 20-foot container holds an average of about 20,000 kilograms of green coffee. When the coffee arrives at port, it's loaded onto trucks and delivered to distributors, commercial roasters, and specialty coffee shops.
The entire system is just mystifying. This happens year after year, harvest after harvest. No one person is controlling it. All these different systems exist and work every year to get coffee to guys like me. It's impressive. I don't know. It really blows my mind. We got a pour over here, guys? Yeah, sweet.
I'm Bevan Kamel. I'm a Kiwi from New Zealand. This is where we do our roasting. Roasting is cooking coffee. That's what it is. We do it in a certain fashion to make sure it comes out vibrant and alive, and making sure that we're not burning it and destroying what flavors are in it. This is our wonderful Probat P12. So up here is the main loading hopper. This is where we put the green coffee in. I'm going to drop this coffee into the coffee roaster. In green, out brown. This is our release catch. This is what's going to release the green coffee into the roasting chamber. And in that is a double-walled drum. This is kind of special to Probat, and that's their little secret, what that actually is. And then this is our chamber door. This is where we're going to be releasing the roasted coffee into our cooling tray, again to try and cool that coffee down as quick as possible so that we're not going to bake our vibrant coffee.
My name is Adriana Rehn, and I'm a part of the marketing department at Probat. And I'm responsible for the shop roaster marketing. Did coffee as a barista and went to Sydney afterwards to work in a roastery there. When I came To Probat at first, I only knew the shop roasters, so I was aware that there's industrial coffee and stuff, but it blew my mind when I walked into the factory for the first time.
We are at our production facility here. We are producing industrial roasters in our facilities, and we also produce shop roasters. That's a Probatone 12, so that means 12 kilos per batch. The roasting drums for the shop roasters. Besides the burner, that's the heart of a roaster. The drum is put into the flame, the cast iron walls are assembled, the cooling tray with the stirrers, they are assembled, and also the burner and the control cabinet is put onto the frame. And the heat, the energy to roast is produced by a modulating burner, which is located underneath of the drum. When roasting coffee, it's always important to have the right air-bean ratio, so the right amount of energy put onto the right amount of coffee. So, and only if that is optimum, then you get a good cup quality.
We're coming to the end of our roast, which means first crack. We'll see it really starting to brown now, and you should audibly hear the coffee starting to crack. So I'm ready to pull my coffee out. It's all done.
Roasting is one part of the chain. It's roasting, it's cooling, it's grinding, it's preparation, yeah? But of course, roasting is the most important thing in the whole production chain.
Roasting is this pedestal. In reality, we're just cooking it, and all that quality comes from the producer. Our job's just not ruin it.
Let's be honest. Everybody knows the grind is the most important.
The grind is the most important, yes. You know, if our grind isn't even, it's not going to taste any good.
We are still only halfway through the journey. In the next episode, we'll find out more of what it takes to make just one single cup of espresso.